She didn't get the shot. Knock on wood.
Yeah, she's eating, but when she has a spider, she has to
I think they put everyone in the hospital, Carol. That way the statistics and the money, yes. It's all a game. It's a game. It's all a game.
Nope, not at all.
It's a game.
Nope.
It's a game. It's a flu. It's all
Yeah,
it is.
they left. Susan and I figured out.
People die from flu every day.
You'll come to the back.
It's
door,
flu.
knock on it, and get it.
It's a manufactured flu,
They're
but
like on
it's
different
flu.
days for some reason. I mean, it's just,
The bio.
like, it takes a very long walk to get there, so. Live right across the hall, right across the road. Yeah. Yeah, so,
Well, he didn't have to be here till 9. Well, if he's coming. I don't know if he's coming today or not. I don't know if he's coming today or not. I don't know.
really. I texted the doctor, or I emailed the doctor on Saturday when I tested positive and asked about the viral medicine. She called me on Monday. Said, talked me out of taking it. She told me the side effects from the antiviral medicine are worse than what the COVID is. And if I thought I could make it through, they weren't because I didn't have any underlying health conditions or anything. She talked me out of taking it. She said, the side effects are so bad. Brenda? Not yet.
You know, I made cookies the other day and I finished them off last night. And the kids brought donuts for Stretch's birthday and we ate those. And I'm like, okay, I've had enough. It was the 3rd. Yeah. So. Whoopee. Well, I'll be honest, with that thing running, even with the microphone, I can't understand what anybody's saying. So they're not today?
EMA's today.
Oh, okay. On Monday? You just said EMS was on Monday at 9:30.
Yes, it is. EMS is Monday at 9:30.
Just confuse me more. That's okay. So commissioners,
I didn't even know why.
I give up. I give up. Just, just text us and let us know any updates. That's all I ask. I won't be here. Haven't we already done 911?
Yeah, but they had him back there for 15 minutes or something. Let's call today and said he made some changes.
Oh, that's right. He's supposed to. You're right.
911.
Yeah, Butch is going to take away overtime now. He said he got with you and kind of figured the math on everything and read all the numbers he was going to come back. Since you weren't here, the sheriff's department is coming back because we asked them to separate out the deputies matrix because it's very convoluted that they add that in there instead of doing it like everybody else in the county and have it as separate as the longevity, which I don't know why, when that was originally done, they decided to do it that way. But it makes it very difficult on those comparative lists because you have positions that are classed identically but getting paid drastically different because of decades of experience difference in the two positions. And then the park was coming back to discuss this whole wage thing and the house, and they were supposed to get with the commissioners and kind of see where that all landed. So those were the three we asked to come back for, like, what'd you say, I think 10, 15-minute sessions or
15
something?
minutes. I had 9/11 coming back at 9, jail coming back at 9:15, park coming back at 9:30. Okay. Okay, I just didn't have an 8:30 on this sheet. Well, I'll just have to communicate with them what time. They don't need to come in until 9 if there's no 9 o'clock. Yeah, they do, because EMS is 9:30. Yeah, well, they do.
They are, they said that's fine.
Okay. Who said 9:30? 9:30. We need to move up in 8:45.
That's Monday then. That's not, they're gonna come back next Wednesday.
Which ones?
The 911 sheriff in the park, we're coming back Wednesday.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, they're coming back in on Wednesday.
I got the right
And
time,
The only
just
thing
the
I'm
wrong
seeing
day.
on, well, the only thing I'm seeing on Wednesday is the commissioners at 12:15. And then we've got to plug ourselves in somewhere. Because we haven't discussed our budget, but there's not a whole lot that's looking on that budget.
We have a lot of gaps. We could do that after
Yeah.
like 11 o'clock on Monday.
Yeah, we can plug ourselves in somewhere, but that's going to be a couple minutes, really. There's not much to it.
Correction, the fifth one today,
Did you get this, Peg?
Wednesday.
Yes, I gave it to
It's Wednesday.
What's Wednesday?
8:30 is 911
Yeah.
coming back. 8:45 is jail coming back. 9 is park coming back.
So the sheet that Deb gave you this morning that's correct.
Okay.
I didn't, oh, it's on the back.
Oh, you
Yeah,
didn't
it's
know?
flip it over,
No
Kenneth.
reason for me not to take
Yeah,
down my
turn it over, Kenan. Turn it over, even I figured that out. Turn it over, it's on there. Good one, good one. We all need a laugh, that's for sure. And then now Stretch would say that would be what I would do. Not turn it over and look.
Hey.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, because remember when we said we weren't 1.7 million in the hole? We are now 1.7 million in the hole.
Well, we got this morning with a big change from what we had a week ago.
Unless he's talked to Paige and done something different that I don't know about.
Well, the receipts,
Now,
well, but if you look, the 1176 increased. The 1176 took a huge increase. 1173 took a huge decrease.
This come from Paige, you said?
I can email her and ask her why there's a difference there.
Yeah, because we didn't make any change. What happened?
The other option is because they already suspended the tax, and if that's why she made that change, because they're suspending the gas tax for 6 to 8 months.
Could be,
So I don't know if that's why she's made that adjustment, but I can go
could you find out?
yeah.
Because that's so substantial.
Yeah, I mean, that fund would then run in the hole 58% in the hole, $1.3 million in the hole. They would literally overspend every dime they have in the highway department if we didn't cut their budget majorly.
So the highway department is in the hole.
It will be if these new updated numbers are correct, it will be, yes.
Well, and that's something we have to, I mean, we're in a recession, I'm sorry. And if people can't pay their taxes, and, I mean, we're gonna be in the hole big time, all across the board.
So I have a question, and I know.
Our revenue's not gonna be what we think.
So we got paperwork yesterday that the new superintendent has a take-home vehicle, so we're paying his gas to drive to, Randolph County every day. If he has a take-home vehicle, we're paying his gas to drive to Randolph County.
I don't think we do that with the sheriff's department, do we?
Because he's our employee. We hired somebody from Randolph County, or Jay County, I forget which county it is, in Wilson. The new highway superintendent is like 62.5 a year. He didn't even live here, and now we're paying his gas. Not only did he get this huge raise, we're paying his gas to drive back and forth to work too.
So he's their employee too, correct?
No, he's just our employee.
Oh,
No, he's just our employee. The assistant superintendent's just our employee.
but does he live there?
He lives in Randolph County. He doesn't. Yeah, but when you change to SO to give the 62.5
Right.
he lives in Randolph County. He has a vehicle that he drives. Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it yesterday.
Isn't the sheriff's department policy that they don't get a take-home vehicle outside the county? I think that's, Well, the good news on Page's updated sheets is the safety lit increased $70,000. The jail lit increased by $100 and nearly $50,000. So those are good things. So, and the other question I have, Debbie, is with the park dropping $50,000, how come why did that make the county general drop too? Because wouldn't have the county general increased if we took tax revenue away from the park and put it back in county general? The county general actually decreased. Yeah, because that doesn't make any sense either. CCD increased by $50,000. But then the ending cash estimate decreased by $50,000, which is
Which one are you looking at?
CCD, the very bottom one, 1138, the cumulative capital development. So yeah, these numbers kind of went all over the place. Yeah, it looks like the only thing that changed on here were the receipts. The disbursements stayed the same. There is 4 of us, but if one isn't able to make it before you leave, we'll have to. You're not leaving for a while, though, right? Okay, yeah. We should. Yeah, the 1173 dropped by over $1 million. Yeah. And by the way, since we're live casting, we'll make sure you use your mic when you talk.
Sorry, good morning. That's all right. That's all right. Peg and I don't mind sharing germs. I, I hope not, given what I know about monkeypox.
Yeah,
I
me
hope we
too.
don't. He said, do you get boils with it?
They're just big pustules, like small, like
It's just like a
chickenpox,
pox.
small
It's a pox.
It's a pox.
But it's not a pox that you get at council meetings.
If you-
So I think we'll be okay.
I think we're okay.
Something's not right, totally. 1176 and 1173 are both wrong.
Yes, intimately close.
Have to be intimately close.
She's gonna call me back.
They're both wrong.
That's great.
Yeah, the general fund, she thinks, she's going back and relook at it because when they did it on the 13th, they didn't have our access.
Yes. 26 and 32. Okay. Oh, you going that way?
That's okay.
So, but she's going back in,
I was already.
that was done when she had COVID, so another little bit. So she's going back and relooking at everything and calling me back.
Some of the others, and I do know they're all kind of somewhat sandwiched together, aren't they, Joey?
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're ready to begin. We have Kyle's will be here in a few moments. He was on his way. Susan just arrived. We have some questions relating to the 1173, the MVH restricted. And of course, the 1176, both the maintenance and the general. And those are like on 26, 7, 8, 9. I think we can go to Low Hut until we find out what's going on with the 1173 and 1174, and that's on page 32. And we've got a Cume Bridge, too, we need to address.
That's on 26.
Yes, okay. 26 is Cumulative Bridge, and 32 is Low Hut. We can do that without getting pages update. We'll try to figure out. Welcome, Joe. Thank you for being here. So let's start with Cume Bridge, because there doesn't seem to be a discrepancy with Cume Bridge. Baker Tilly, earlier we had a 41.3% cash revenue. Right now, today, we have a 41.3. That's one that hasn't changed. So, page 26, everybody on that page? Cumulative Bridge, page 26. We've been blanking out the salaries for now until we figure out how much is left for everything.
I took
You took that out
that out.
and moved it to,
1176,
okay.
MVH.
Overtime, you blanked that out. What's the anticipation on overtime?
We're going to use the overtime in MVH.
MVH?
Yeah, 1176.
Okay. So those are both moved to 1176, which we're waiting an update on.
Yes.
Okay. Consultants went up $30,000. What's that about?
Yeah. Culverts and bridges that need design, particularly bridges.
Okay.
I've got one now in Louisville we're working on. It's a special thing that we're having to do.
You had said in one of my sit-downs with you that there's one bridge that's pretty large, you're going to have to go for a federal.
Yes, it's
that
on
include-
950 east, north of 350 south, I believe it is, yeah. I've got it here.
You'll have to get a little closer.
Almost have to eat that
Yeah,
thing, Joe.
about
It's-
3 inches from it at most. Because we're live streaming and we've got several people listening from home.
Yeah, it's Bridge 138.
And that takes consultants anytime you do a
Yes, it'll be a
federal?
federal aid project. I hope to apply in November.
Okay. That's most of the 30,000 increase
Yes,
relates to bridges? That's correct?
yes,
Relates to bridges?
yes. It'll be on bridges.
Bridge maintenance went down 630,000. What was that about?
That's all the money I had available.
Because of the cum rate, the cum
Yeah.
bridge rate?
But yes, I don't have any more cash.
Okay. Well, this updated, okay, because you lowered it, this updated has a 51.7% cash reserves next year, predicted by Baker Tilly.
Yeah, I had predicted an income, I always go a little low, 310,000 a year. And the last I saw, the information you gave me was 357,000 a year. And this shows even more. This shows 415,000 a year, almost 416
From cum bridge.
from Cume Bridge, yeah. So there's more income than I had anticipated.
Well, that's one you could go up, but others, we got to figure out what's happening at 1176 and 1173.
Okay,
That might be able to go up depending on what page gets back, or it may not.
okay.
It's a healthy balance now, given the update we had this morning at 51.7%.
Yeah, I'd like to put it, put whatever I can in bridge maintenance.
Okay. That needs to be a placeholder after we find out what page is doing. Because
Okay.
with that, you've got a healthy balance there, but something on 1176 went haywire, and we don't know why. Or 1173, I mean, went haywire since the last spreadsheet, so she'll get back with us. So I'm going to circle that. With that balance, if that's correct, and depending on what comes back on 1173 and 1176, that may be able to increase.
Okay.
We see what the bottom line is. Bridge inspection went up 77,000. Is that based on what you just said about bridges?
Yeah, it was a 4-year contract. The first and third years are the most, the second and fourth years are the least. And so we have to go back and this will be what they call phase 2, and it'll be more money. They have to, the first and third, they have to go out and actually visit every bridge. They inspect every bridge we have.
That's coming up.
Yeah, next year.
And who inspects?
SJCA consultant,
Okay. And that's part of the consultant fee you talked about?
yes.
Okay. Bridge equipment's the same, 10,000?
That's for maintenance for our excavator, our large excavator.
Large culverts went up 9,500, roughly, 9,500 roughly.
Yeah, we've got some large culverts in the county that's going to need replaced.
Anybody else speak up? I don't want to hog this. Bridge 95's nothing this year. That's already taken care of. I mean, whatever was on bridge number 95.
Yeah, a lot of those are,
Past projects.
yeah, past projects.
Okay. I have down, because of the shifts you said, mainly from here to 1176, 571,750 less. So, than last year. But a lot of that's bridge maintenance. Went down from 730,000 to 100,000.
Yeah, that was
Then
a
your
big
road
part of it.
supervisor went down 42.8 thousand.
Yeah, I was able to do a bridge replacement, a superstructure replacement on a bridge, and also a deck repair and overlay.
Okay. We may come back to this depending on what Paige says,
Okay.
because there's a lot of question marks still. And the other one we can go to until we hear back from Paige is on page 32, LOHUT, which went up about 27,000. Crew leaders were the same. Assistant superintendent was the same. We're going to talk a little bit more about that here in a second. Overtime was the same. Professional services, the one that went up from 0 to 50,000. What was that?
Pacer ratings? Pacer ratings?
Is
We
that
did it
something
last
this year?
Yeah, every 2 years you have to do that.
Same, okay.
Yeah.
Same as what you were talking about previously on Coombe Bridge? Similar?
Yeah, that's bridge inspection, but the roads all have to be run and rated. And that has to be submitted to Purdue LTAP. And if we don't submit that and get that certified, they won't give us any community crossing matching grant funds.
So the 50,000 is worth $1 million?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, seems
Any
like
day.
money well spent. General road repair. Last year we had a discussion, that's non-bituminous, because bituminous is in another account or fund.
We take bituminous out of general road repair, chip seals, asphalt.
Okay.
Bituminous is road repair. Right, we're spending that right now. That's
Okay.
liquid asphalt and bituminous, regular asphalt.
And that's what you said earlier this year was going up 22, 23% or more,
Oh, yeah.
bituminous, because it's
It's hurting us.
petroleum-based.
Yeah, it's hurting us bad.
Okay. So this is mainly chip seal and what?
Asphalt,
And asphalt.
yeah. And it may include stone for edging and what we have to do after we put down the asphalt,
Okay.
things like that.
These contractors, like on Dublin Pike, part of the contract is the stone on the edge, or is that
Yeah,
something?
that's in their contract when they bid it, yes.
But when the county does it, you put the stone down?
Yes,
like
we have
on
to do it,
100 West, I think I saw,
yes.
in Kennard Road. I drove on it, and it's paid by the county, wasn't it?
No, that was paid by E&B paving, down there by
That's part of
550.
community crossings,
Yes,
that 2-mile stretch.
it's a mile stretch, yeah.
Okay.
450 to 550.
That part's a lot nicer.
Oh, yeah.
And Dublin Pike, is it done yet? Looked like it was close to it.
Yeah, it's close, yeah.
They finished it? Okay.
They have to put down pavement markings now, and then it'll be done.
We'd had some complaints on Dublin Pike, not realizing it was not the final code and all that. So it is done.
The reason it took longer to put that asphalt surface down is because it's special surface.
The final surfaces
Yes. it's-
run over so
and-
often.
And they don't run that particular type of liquid asphalt every day, so they have to bring in a special tanker for it.
Okay.
It's harder asphalt.
The other thing addressed online, I know you don't get that often. None of us get the online Facebook stuff.
Oh, yeah,
Paving over the railroad track.
originated with the owner of the railroad. He asked them to pave over it so he doesn't have to maintain it. That's fine. I have no
Okay,
problem
so
with
they're not going to store extra cars beyond
He's
New
going,
Lisbon?
well, he's got some there now. He's going to have to go north with it. He can't come south.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have any south of New Lisbon, apparently.
No,
And
it
doesn't
must
have any
not.
plans to.
Yeah, it must
That's
not.
no longer Norfolk and Southern, that's a privately
Private,
owned
yes.
section now. It goes, I thought it was going to go into
What is it?
Connersville from what
The
Corey Murphy
Newcastle
said.
Connersville Railroad, I think is
Yeah.
what it used to be called.
There's
yeah.
something north of the airport in Connersville that they were going to use that stretch for, so I'm surprised they said pave, but they got approval to pave over it.
Yeah, we got an email from him
Okay,
stating
Well.
that.
okay, that answers why that was paved over. When was Paige getting back to you? When was Paige, she's going to text you an alert? Okay, what can we do?
So the
Chad?
only comment I is on, and we kind of make this comment when we had our work session that you came in with, Joe, But like on the low hut, you're overspending by $1 million this year, which you have the funds to do that.
Yes.
But next year you won't. That'll, you'll be down to where you're right at that 20% number. Your estimated balance will be $500,000, $572,000. So obviously there wouldn't be an extra $1 million to budget next year.
I'm figuring I'll have about 23.5% left, my figures, yeah. Yeah, because I
They're
use
figuring 20.4, so that's pretty close.
350,000 at the end of the year. At least.
That's at
Yeah,
least 20,
so-
but if you spend that proportionally what you are this year, next year, it will be much lower than 20 a year and a half from
Yeah.
now.
The question of the day is, are we going to get it all spent? And I know State Board of Account always looks at it as though you spend it all, but we don't.
Well, if you budget it, the council has to look as though you spend it all. So
Yeah, I
that's
know.
So we kind of have to look at it similarly to them, because
Yeah, I'll have a,
knowing that there's a chance that, you can't predict weather, you can't predict a lot of things, but we
The
also
only-
can't predict the price increases, so.
the only change on this would be the assistant superintendent to 62.5 is the only change.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask, because that
We had a
did
question
not
about
go
that.
up.
Excuse me?
The superintendent did not go up on this budget, so we need to increase it on this budget, correct?
Right.
Okay, that was going to be
Where
that
was-
was my next question.
Where was the increase going to come from?
The
It's in the-
cash that's available, there's enough there. I'll still be well above 20%.
Okay. The other question, we had a discussion within the last couple of weeks, is LOHUD a legally legitimate place to be paying salaries?
In my opinion, no.
Is it this way because it's always been done this way?
No other county will let me do it. Steve, let me give you some background. Franklin County would not let me do it. Madison County would not let them do it. And that issue just came up in Randolph, and Randolph was told by the State Board of Accounts that you cannot do that.
So we're not legally supposed to pay any salaries out of LOHUD?
That is my understanding.
Okay. What do we need to do to be in sync with the State Board of Accounts?
Pay-
So we don't get dinged on something that everybody else seems to know we're not
I
supposed to do?
I would pay the salaries out of Motor Vehicle Highway 1176, yeah.
Well, there's funds there probably for that. Whatever needs to be done, we're currently under an audit now. I have a feeling this is something that, why it hasn't come up in the past, or if it's a recent change in
This-
Indiana code, I don't know.
This is the way it was when I started. Yeah.
I'm just suggesting that it gets changed to whatever the State Board of Accounts, if they're advising other counties you can't take salaries out of LOHUD, it seems to behoove us that we make that change now, so we're in compliance with what State Board of Accounts are telling counties.
There's several items that they say you can't take out of there. I've moved, if you'll notice, I've got fuel in Motor Vehicle Highway this year. I moved a crew leader from Bridge over there, and I'm figuring I'm probably going to have to move the assistant superintendent and the 2 crew leaders back over there to Motor Vehicle Highway 1176.
Okay. We're not concerned about 1176 as much as 1173, but if all these things you're saying you're going to move to 1176,
We're going to,
we're going to be concerned because that's a lot of money. So we need to look at that pretty closely. On the assistant superintendent, we were told that they were getting either a vehicle or gas and fuel back and forth to home. Is that correct or incorrect?
yeah, that's what the assistant, he's on call 24 hours a day, yes.
Okay. There's a question from some up here that that's a good thing, a legitimate thing, a proper expense to come out of and I don't know what the State Board of Accounts would say on that. I'm asking, I don't know.
Most counties, if you're on call 24 hours, like superintendent, engineer, assistant superintendent, they all have vehicles. Crew leaders have vehicles. Hancock was that way. Randolph's that way. We're running it right now here that way. Franklin County had foremen. They had it the same way. I mean,
This is common. We have the State Board of Accounts doing an audit right now. I think we need to ask them the legitimacy of this is proper or not, because that's a pretty good package. But if it's in sync with what they say is legal, that is a good package that any
Oh,
of
yeah.
us would like to have, any employee would like to have. Harold said that the same is true now, it wasn't when he was sheriff, but the same now for deputies, even if they are road deputies, that they are allowed to do that, even if they live out of county. But I think the State Board of Account needs to weigh in so we don't get dinged on this.
my understanding is there's a IRS ruling that says that, and police are exempt from having to pay for that. They pay so many dollars a day or so much a mile, and for them to go home and back, and it's added to their gross income at the end of the year. That's what I was told.
I'm not a tax expert, that could be, I don't know. It came up, but I think the State Board of Accounts, we probably need to make sure that we're not paying salaries out of LOHUT, if that's what State Board of Accounts advise.
Yeah.
And we need to check into this mileage thing. And you may be correct, I'm not doubting it, but I think we need to be consistent and we need to do what's right and legal.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think we knew that that was part of the
They-
package, because
Everyone that drives a vehicle has to sign a special authorization or approval to drive that vehicle. Okay, so it's been done, so everybody at Highway signs one.
okay, and the sheriff's has a really good contract with gas, with Co-Alliance. And we were thinking that maybe Highway had that same thing, and
No.
Health had that same thing, and Weights and Measure had that, and Building Inspector, and we're finding out that they're paying like $3 and something for gas, the sheriff, because they're locked into a contract that's $2.80 plus the 30 whatever.
Right. Co-Alliance did not bid.
So they may make up for it next year, but it seems like everybody that has a vehicle in this county, and you're one of the major departments, if we can get on a county-wide contract and lock it in, it surely is going to save.
I used to do that in Hancock for many years. We locked it in. Back then it was Ag 1, but the problem is they didn't bid the highway.
Who's they?
Co-Alliance.
Oh, so that was an opportunity?
Yeah, if they would have bid it, we would have looked at their bid and evaluated it.
So,
And, yeah,
okay,
but they didn't bid.
okay. But an advertisement went out for them too?
Oh, yeah, it was in a paper. I mean, annual bids, right.
Okay, go ahead.
They knew it. I called them.
So what we've asked the commissioners to do is to try to do a county bid instead of the individual departments, so
That's-
we can do it as a combined buying power, which should give us even, I would hope, a better price if we combine all the departments.
I would like to include the specifications I have, because we have ours in tanks at the highway, and sometimes they have to do special things to that, especially the diesel fuel, to make sure it stays good, and we have to have what they call a winter blend, or it'll
That's
freeze
one-
up.
Right. And you're mostly diesel? Or
Oh,
you-
yeah, we use mostly diesel.
I was going to
yeah.
say, okay.
Yeah.
Other questions on LOHUD and cumulative bridge before we go to local road and street, which is on page 27? And Debbie may be getting an update from Paige, we hope, because that's going to be kind of a holdup until we find out why things changed. You have page 27, general maintenance, you kept it 260,000. Okay, real quick, Reader's Digest, what's that go for?
Wait a minute.
This-
General maintenance?
1169, general maintenance.
That's mostly for vehicle maintenance, parts.
Okay. Is most of that can be done within the in-house mechanics?
The small stuff can, the larger things cannot.
And how many mechanics do you have now? Because
3.
okay, because at one time, I think it was down to 2 and a floater, like the parts person or Dale or somebody out there was able to do some mechanic work.
And they're also doing the sheriff's vehicles too, brakes and oil changes, things like
Okay,
that.
and when they spoke, they said some of the stuff had to be farmed out because of the backlog at the garage. Does that sound right?
Yeah, there's always vehicles in there.
Ambulances, sheriffs.
Yeah, we don't have so much ambulances anymore, but we do have a fair amount of sheriff's vehicles, yes.
I remember when I talked to Joe Wiley, he said when you have to send it out to a dealership, it's 2 to 3 times the bill, the invoice they get is astronomical compared to doing it in-house.
Oh, yes, definitely. And we're finding some local people to work on our trucks too.
And they're not as astronomical as the Muncie dealerships.
Yeah, we're trying to keep the cost down by going local. But yeah, those dealerships are awful.
Okay, and road maintenance went up 150,000. How is, that's maintenance on roads. What does that include?
That could include chip and seal, asphalt, stone, whatever we need, patch mix.
So there's overlap in some of the other
Oh, yeah,
funds that we talked about.
yeah.
So you've got it kind of dispersed
We-
in different funds.
We tried to take it out of 1173 first.
Okay. Council, any other questions? We got road equipment that went up 20,000, and I think when we met a week or so ago, you said part of that is the paver paying it off.
There's 3 things. Paver payment is one. The other is we need a new loader at the highway. And the other is I put in some money for hopefully 2
Used
newer
tandems.
trucks. Yeah, used tandems, yes.
I do have a note here. I didn't see.
I'm
it down at
trying
the
to,
bottom.
we're trying to, we have another county that gets rid of them within, before they hit 80,000 miles.
Wouldn't be Hamilton, would it?
No.
Joe Wiley bought some tandem or triaxles from Hamilton County cheap, and they were getting rid of them at 75, 80,000, and that's when we break them in.
Oh, I know. That's, he's, hopefully this year I can pick up 2. He's going to let me know when the new ones come in. He ordered 3, so.
What was Hamilton's assessed valuation? It was 11 million or something, yeah. I don't know, compared with our 1.5. Okay, so the 20,000's to pay those 3 things, to help pay for those 3 things you
Yes.
mentioned. The paver payment, new loader, and 2 used tandem trucks.
Yes.
Any questions? Your total went up 170,000. In 1169, that was a 17.5% increase, which is less than the increase in asphalt alone. So, any
Yeah.
questions, concerns?
I'll just make the comment again, in this fund as well, you're overspending 350,000, which you have the funds to do, but next year you won't. So that's where, a lot of these funds and we talked about this in the work session, that a lot of your funds, this will be probably the last chance you get to, unless you don't spend it all or something changes in revenue. And that's the concern I think all of us are having, because I'm sure everybody's paying attention to this special session, and more than likely they're going to suspend the gas tax or limit the gas tax, and I'm sure that's going to affect your revenue.
Well,
And-
it's not going to increase.
Yeah, it's definitely,
As
so
it's scheduled.
if
right?
you're,
Right.
It's just not going to increase, because it was in last year's legislation to increase it.
Yeah.
And they're going to suspend the increase, so it'll be the same.
just going to suspend the increase, that's
That's what I heard on the news.
okay. I was hearing differently. I
Right,
thought they were
right
going
in the middle of a
I thought they were gonna
9.1
limit the
inflation, they were about to do a 10 cent increase in gas tax. And what they're talking about is suspending that 10
Well-
cent increase.
The concern is that 10-cent increase in these numbers.
Yeah.
I think that's the concern, because if it is, and you overspend your account, they may be in worse shape than,
The 10 cents is not in there.
because I thought that, when was that supposed to take effect?
August 1st, I think, there's supposed to be the
So I
increase. And
was-
they said they put a halt on it.
Yeah, but when? Just,
I don't know when the halt is.
You're supposed to be voting on the bill, right? To-
yeah, that's
it's
what I'm
probably
saying.
today.
I bet you anything that Baker Tilly figured that into these numbers.
I'd be surprised if they figured in something that's not been decided yet, but it
Well, I
might.
mean, they figured in The
increase. They could have.
Yeah, they figured in, more than likely, they figured it, because that was passed and voted on.
And we might get
And
confirmation
so-
from Paige, hopefully.
Yeah, that's what we're still trying to figure out, Joe. I mean, you have the funds there to overspend, it's just you won't have the funds there to overspend next year.
No, I
If you
understand
spend
that.
it all, that's all I'm saying.
I figure-
So-
And Chad will be in the audience where Ed is
That's right.
today,
I'll be
saying, I
back there.
told you so.
I told you guys
Well,
last year.
I figure I'll have about almost right at 26% left.
So the plan would just be that you would do less work.
Yeah. Here's my thinking on cash in the bank. I'd rather see the cash on the road than I would the cash in the bank. Because for every year we don't pave it, or we don't chip seal it, or we don't do something that road, it gets worse. And then it's gonna cost more money to fix it the following year, or 2 years, or whatever down the road. We need to get on it and get it done.
I don't disagree. I think that's a great, like you talked, I think you called it a shot in the arm or something is what you referred to it in one of the council. I think it's a great plan. It's just eventually that shot runs out. And
Right.
then it's going to be to where if you do have a downturn, it could be an interesting, because you guys have a pretty healthy balance right now.
We'll be all right. I think
Yeah,
we'll be
just
all right.
know if you keep spending like you're projecting for 23, you may not be able to do nearly that in 2024. Just
Yeah, I
unless the
know. It'll
state does
depend
something to
on,
help.
it'll depend on how much cash I have at first year, next year.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather see
I'll
the
work
cash
with
on
it.
the roads too, but just know that the tendency is less cash balance, and we do try to keep it 15 or 20% cash balance.
Okay.
Which everything but 1173s, you're within that. Did we get anything from Paige, or is she still working on it? Okay. Okay. Let's look at 1173 and see if there's any of it that we can, and we may not be able to. Bituminous? Yeah.
173 is nothing but bituminous.
Okay.
But if that is decreased,
We have a
because
problem.
that, according to Baker Tilly, that fund says it's going to finish the year in the red. Surely is that correct? Are we projecting that fund to be
I'm
completely
projecting
depleted?
18%.
Yeah.
They're projecting it to be in the red at the end of the year. They're projecting the ending cash balance is
Well-
January 1st, negative $85,000.
I'm projecting an MVH distribution in there of 1,950,000 is what I threw in, and their original estimate was 2,050,000, so I'm even 100,000 less than that. So I think they're way off, and I think 1176, the line above it, is off. That's too much. It should be around $2 million.
And I agree, and that's where it's confusing, because if you look at our original sheet, and I don't know if you had a copy of this, but I only have my copy that we got. That's closer to the numbers that were on the sheet we had originally received. We received this one today, and that's why we're trying to figure out why things
Yeah,
are
yeah,
so.
I agree with those.
Yeah, that we're trying to figure out what happened.
I'd
What
love it.
shifted so much drastically? Because I know originally, weren't they trying to get less restrictions on the 1173 and put more of it to the 1176 fund?
Yeah, they were talking going 60/40, that was one of
Yeah.
the bills.
That was the talk down in Bloomington AIC.
Yeah,
And
that-
they've been lobbying like crazy to the state
But I
legislature. and they've
didn't
not-
think that got passed,
No, it
right?
didn't.
And So that's,
They haven't been listening.
Still 50/50.
so that's what doesn't make sense, is why the 1176 is more, almost 4 times.
The 1176 from the spreadsheet we had 2 weeks ago to today hasn't changed that much. One of them has 39, 39? 38 and a half. Let me make sure I'm on the right line.
You're not, because
No,
it's 117.
117, I skipped up to the
Yeah.
911. Yeah, it has changed. It went up drastically, whereas the 1173 went down astronomically in these spreadsheets. So we've got to get an answer. Because
If it goes down like that, I don't know if it's got something to do with the bill that's out there now. They're looking at, taking away the excess gas tax and then giving us money on the side. Maybe that's part of it. I don't.
that's just you. And Chad's right, the only thing on 1173 is that bituminous. and you asked 400,000 more, which according to the 25% increase in that, inflation-wise, that's probably not out of the ordinary, because I think that's a 20% increase, and that's about what you said inflation was on bituminous and asphalt,
Yeah, a
so
little over 20.
that seems reasonable with inflation, but
If it is cut to 1,078,000, then we'll just take out of the one line item and make up for it, just cut it.
And I don't see a bituminous type line item in the 1176, but one could be added, correct?
We used to have it, yes,
3 years ago you had it.
yes.
I remember it being both places
so.
in the past.
Yeah, I thought the same too, so I mean, we could,
Yeah, you can put it back in bituminous in 1176.
well, unfortunately, I'm afraid we're at an impasse until we hear back from Baker Tilly to try to figure out why these monies shifted so much. I mean, at the end of the day, I still think there's enough funds to cover the amounts you put in the distributions.
Yeah.
We're just going to have to play with which fund it comes out of. But it is going to bring your funds down to minimal leftovers at that point.
I'd like to go over the 1176, but we can't finalize anything until we hear back from Paige.
No, that's fine.
On 1176, which is on page 30, truck drivers was the same, no increase. Heavy equipment operators, how many truck drivers do you have? Because I usually put the numbers in.
9,
9. How many heavy equipment operators do you have?
5.
5. And that stayed the same, so you didn't increase that. Summer help, you went up 5,000. So those are part-time summer help. And do you have that?
Part-time help,
You're on
yes.
page
Just part,
There's two of those.
on page 30.
Yeah, it actually starts on 29, 1176. That's why I was confused. I'm sorry, Kenneth. 1176 actually starts on 29. There's 3 pages of it.
Wow. Huh. My 29 is the whole general fund summary. See?
Uh-oh.
Page 29? It's the whole general fund summary.
Here's my page 29.
Okay.
That's why I was confused. I'm sorry. If you want to read off of mine, go ahead.
Yeah, can I have it?
Everybody, who all needs a copy of page 29?
Yeah, my 29 is the whole general fund summary of 15.
I do also. Me too.
Okay. That's why, I'm sorry. That's why I
No,
was
it's okay.
confused. I was trying to.
No, it's the
Okay, what am I
15 and,
looking at?
it's the 15.8 billion.
I did-
General fund is my page 29. I know you'd like to have
Million.
15 billion. Million?
I wish it was billion. Be in a little different boat.
Million, yeah. Because it has the
is a
cent, it has the
little
cent
different
line, the zeros at the cent.
That B makes a big difference.
I was thinking total AV. I don't know.
No, I did not put any raises in any of
No,
those.
Yeah,
well,
I didn't see any in
we,
your line.
we've been backing them out to zero anyway till we figure
No.
out what monies there are available, and that might be,
So let me ask a question while Bobby's making copies. Joe, do you recommend we just go ahead and move those payroll positions to 1176?
When you guys changed that to LOHUT, you guys did that in 19, when Joe Wiley's budget was so out of whack. And I think Paige was here, I think you even talked to Paige State Board of Accounts about it at the time. That's why you guys moved all those salaries to LOHUT, was because his budgets were so, when we had all those trouble with them, you guys did that in 19. So we did it.
it's on us.
So, but Paige was here and we talked to State Board of Accounts and there wasn't an issue in doing it?
And
Okay.
other counties saying that they're,
Well,
it goes back to
again,
who you contacted at the
It's-
State Board of
it's-
Accounts.
It's like a previous department head made the comment, it depends on how you ask the question when you call State Board of Accounts.
That was Steve Rust. So it depends on who you talk to.
Yeah, well.
And I said, same with the Department of Education, it depends on who you talk to.
Here's the law.
Okay,
Now, there's a LOHUT fund and there's a wheel tax fund, so they're paid, it comes out, and wheel tax is paid in trust. Low hut is cars.
Low Hut's cars
Yeah.
tax. Okay.
And the low hut brings in more, of course.
Right. You want to go to page 29, and since we have that now, it shows yours at 130. Is that something we get? How does the 40,000 reimbursement from the state work on that? Is that 130 minus 40,000,
Well, you'll minus 65,
minus 65?
and then you'll minus 40 with that.
You have
Yes.
to leave his set at 130,000 because he's paid from us, so we have to allocate. the
For both
130.
counties?
Yes, we
Okay.
have to allocate the 130 because his salary is paid for Hickory County.
I'd forgotten that. Okay.
It goes back into that fund.
And it comes back 80,000?
It
I mean,
comes
40 per, 65 total?
65,
You get
right?
65 plus 40, you get 105. 65 from Randolph, and you get 40,000 back from the state.
Okay.
So your net is 25,000.
Oh, okay. So
Pretty
that's,
good deal.
so that saved us
Yes.
from a accounting standpoint. That
And the
saved
40
us.
usually comes in April.
April?
It's
Has that
already
been coming in, Debbie? Has that been coming in around April? Has the reimbursement from the state been coming in on a kind of timely basis, April's? Okay,
It's April.
gotcha. Office manager, you kept the same. Longevity went up because it apparently hit that time. Overtime went down 1,000. So you must be anticipating less. Administrator, I assume that was in 2021, was superintendent line. Office records up 500. Postage the same. Telegraph. How's your telegraph machine doing?
Really well.
Is down 105. I think I saw it at the Henry County Historical Museum. Went down 105. Printing and advertising is the same. Official bonds and insurance is the same. Okay. So that amount went down mainly because, I don't know why, because it doesn't reflect the reimbursements. Okay. Oh, because originally it showed 190 budgeted. And that's the, most of the 6,000, okay, 60,000, I mean. Questions on page 29, the page 1 of the 1176. Then I didn't have that, so I jumped to page 30. You said you had 9 truck drivers, we're on page 30.
Yes.
And that stayed the same. You have 5 heavy equipment operators, that stayed the same.
Yes.
Summer help went up from 40,000 to 45, so that increased by 5,000. Overtime increased by 5,000. Longevity went down because of change of your employees,
Yes.
years of experience. Temporary hourly heavy equipment stayed the same. Crew leaders, you must have moved something. You might have alluded to that already. Because it was 0 and now it's 42.8.
That's crew leader from Bridge.
So that's an additional, or is it moved from someplace?
It's moved from Cume Bridge.
Oh, it's moved from Cume Bridge. I
Yeah,
didn't
over here.
hear the Cume part. Okay. Hardware and tools, 2,000 the same. Road signs, you mentioned that when we met a couple weeks ago, 35,000. Did that get moved from someplace, or is that just that project of getting a?
No, that's the project that they're currently working on will do regulatory and warning signs. it does not do road name signs. Okay, so we got some road name signs that need replaced. We need to buy posts. We've already had some of those new signs damaged. Yeah,
I saw some that are like
Stolen.
stop signs that are half. I think it's because the semis rerouted off of 38, taking the corner. They've taken half of a stop sign and bent it like 30 degrees when they turned the corner, kind of like light post here in town, traffic light post and
oh, yeah.
electric post. There's 2 of them wiped out here in the last couple of months because people are taking corners that it's not meant for 85 foot or however long.
So, yeah, a lot of that will be road name signs and posts.
Okay. And last year you said the eastern part of the county had road sign, was that a grant or something from NDOT?
Yeah,
Had road
it's a
signs
safety money.
And
We did the central and eastern townships,
and you did
and I've applied now for the western,
okay.
yes.
Okay. And drainage and assessment didn't change, and education and travel didn't change. I have, mainly because of the Cume Bridge move, the crew leaders and the road signs, you went up 85,800 and something for a 13% increase. Any questions from council or audience or auditor's department? Okay, page 31. Also 1176, so we're having to wait a little bit on page. Looks like garage mechanic. You combine the one that said garage mechanic 2 and garage mechanic 3.
Yeah, there's
You added that third one?
1, 2, and 3. Yeah, there's parts manager and garage. There's 3 of them all the same salary.
Okay, you combined the parts manager
Parts
and
manager.
mechanic 2, and that line's why it doubled.
And yeah,
Okay, so garage mechanic 1,000.07 got moved up to .02. So that combined, no increase in salary, but he combined the parts manager up to line 1, the first line. That's why it doubled.
So .08 went to .2.
Yeah, he doubled it. It's same pay. He just moved.
that's the way it was when I got here, parts manager.
So, but
So I guess my question is the reasoning behind it, 'cause it kind of affects the way we payroll.
One's parts manager, and one's, they all do mechanic work, okay?
Yeah, that's what,
It moved up to the first line.
I know, but it affects our payroll. That's why I'm asking is. if
We can move it back.
well, I guess,
Immaterial to me.
are they all the same class?
I believe so.
Yeah. They got the same pay, so they have to be unless we made an error in the
Same,
past.
same pay.
So they're all
Because I understand what
42.8.
they're saying, because they pay off their system, and
Right.
that would change their system.
Or
You can just move
just
it.
tell him and he'll move it back if it's
Yeah,
easier.
Just move it back.
It would make it easier if we moved it back.
That's fine.
Okay, it's just a move.
Yeah,
It's all the same pay.
yeah.
Okay, so we're just taking that one, basically 43,000 back to the .08 line. No change in money at all. Dispatcher is the same. Social Security went down 160, which all that'll change if we give salaries. So will perf on some departments will change, but that's something we just have to deal with.
Yeah, I've looked at 3% raises on this, and it works. It's not a problem.
It works.
Yeah.
We're hoping that's a minimum
includes-
starting point,
That includes perf and social security.
right? And you pay for insurance too, right?
Yes.
How many total full-time employees do you have, Joe?
Well, we have the 22 hourly, and then we have myself and Maria.
So it's 24
And then we
total,
we have the part-time, which I don't include. So,
just full-time. So 24.
yeah.
So you're right. You're paying about right at the amount. We're trying to equalize the health insurance because some departments were paying drastically more than others. Like you're paying about half of what the health department or the park is paying.
They're paying.
So we're trying to-
Twice their fair share per employee, and we don't know how that evolved.
Yeah, so we're trying to do our best to equalize that equally, and you're right there in that $18,000 number, so that's,
Well, when we added those two, from 20 to 22, I added some to that line
yeah,
item.
so
Okay.
I
Ed might know how that evolved, why health and park is paid 2.5 times more per employee for insurance than you and who else?
just smile.
Everybody. 18,000, he knows. But we won't ask him because we're live streaming.
Yeah. Are you pleading the fifth on this one, Ed?
He knows, we know,
We all know. We'll just leave it at that.
and now inquiring minds online will want to know.
Well, they can call us later.
Group insurance, you went down to $439. That's going to be immaterial probably in your department. We moved the garage mechanic 3 back up to garage mechanic 2. No, we didn't. That stayed the same. Parts manager, we moved up back to 1, the 02 line down to the 08 line. So it's that 42,418 is back down for, one of them's 42,814 and the other one's 42,8,
It's a,
Not the same salary.
they need to be.
no, there, I think the
$4
numbers are,
difference.
the
I think
numbers
that's-
have been moved.
Okay.
They're all supposed to be the same,
Right.
three, yeah,
I-
42,
yeah.
Well,
814.
It's $4, but,
Eight,
yeah,
Oh, is
it's
it?
for, the 8 and the
oh
4
yeah,
have
it
switched.
is.
should
The
be
8 and the 4
814, they're
somehow
all
have
changed.
transposed.
Yeah. We got to get those same class.
I thought they may,
They're probably supposed to. Just
yeah,
now caught that.
I thought they did.
Well,
Yeah,
that's why I was asking if there was something weird, because there is
It
a
should be all
$404 deviation there.
Yep. They're supposed to. Hold on. Pause for about 1 minute. I wonder
Are
what
the
class they
numbers
are. Do you know, Chad?
transposed?
I don't. I have that cheat sheet here.
But we're not going to quibble, but they need to be the same. Supposed to be,
Parts manager is a LTC 5. And
which is the
I'm
same as a
looking
crew
for-
leader, set 2.
that's the only LTC 5 I see.
Truck drivers are LTC 3s.
I'm looking, or mechanics are LTC, they're 5s as well.
Needs to be the same.
And it says on the, this report that they were, so I don't know if there was a,
There's
what
an
I
error
thought.
somewhere.
yeah.
We just need to correct it and get back to what's supposed to
I think they
be.
transposed the numbers, that's what I heard.
Yeah,
Yeah, they just need to be the same.
okay.
So, overtime, you kept 15,000. Longevity, somebody moved up, you went 200 more. The gas, where did you move that from to here? Gas, oil,
Low Hut,
lubricants? Low Hut. So that moved from Low Hut to 1176 general and undistributed on page 31. So that was a move out of one fund to the other.
yeah.
Liability and casualty went up 35,600. Is that because of a quote to go up that much?
No, I looked at what we've been paying in the past. In '21, we paid $80,080, and we had 100,000 in there, so I left it 100,000.
Okay,
Figure it might go up.
because it must have only been invoiced 540 so far, that once a year.
I think so. That's what I've got, 540. That was through
You're our
April.
insurance person.
So the liability, I believe, did go up, but the majority of it was this new building that we have north of town, was
Okay.
the reasoning, so.
Our much larger double-sized building?
Yeah,
It
that new
makes sense.
$30 million building north of town may have caused the liability insurance to go.
So that makes sense.
So, but yeah, I don't know that it would have necessarily affect yours that drastically, but you are adding new equipment and
Yeah.
newer equipment's gonna cost more money and things, so I don't think it's an unreasonable number. I think it may be a little bit of a stretch. You know, it probably is more 90, but I don't think it'll be.
Want to make it 90?
I mean.
We don't do
could.
our job if we don't cut something.
All right,
Okay,
cut it
we'll
90.
cut it then, make it 90.
It was 80. We'll move it to 90, so
All right,
it's
that's
I
fine.
don't think it's gonna
12%
jump.
increase.
I don't think it's gonna jump 25%. I don't think our liability is gonna come close to
Okay,
jumping 25%.
this is the one move. Liability and
Yeah, I don't-
casualty, we're moving from 100,000 to 90,000.
We haven't had any major claims or anything to that effect, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'll have
so I
0.1% raise
don't
for
see-
everybody.
Yeah.
Workman's comp stayed the same. Utilities went up 3,000, which is
No.
probably not unreasonable.
Yeah,
I'm surprised it's that.
I question if that's
It's
enough.
probably not
I mean, the
enough.
reason I question that is because up to July 7th, they've already spent
I
20,700.
think we probably need to move that.
I'm wondering if it needs to be like more 40 or 45.
I would say 40, and that way we still cut a 5,000 net.
Well, no, well, yeah.
That works.
It's going to be closer to reality if we move it up to 40. So we're looking at the utilities, a .04 line, moving from 35 up to 40. Council, you're not talking much. I'm doing all the talking, I don't like that. 35 to 40, and that probably won't be enough. So we lowered everything, instead of an increase of 362 rounded, 350.
Now, Joe,
Six.
obviously, all this is going to be tentative until we hear back from Paige. But,
Yeah.
I mean, again, it looks like if these numbers on this sheet hold, what we would have to do is just shift the majority of your bituminous to 1176, and that doesn't cause an issue for you in any way, shape, or form, does it?
No,
Okay.
no.
We got to know the rationale why that changed that
Yeah.
much, because that just,
And we need to look at the big picture too. If we move those salaries from Low Hut to there, and then we need to look at the whole picture then too.
yeah. it's a
Well,
chess-
and that was
it's a
going to be my
chess
next
match.
question, is if we do go back and decide to do that, then are you wanting us to increase was it road maintenance or general road repair
Yes,
in that low hut by that amount of those two salaries
yes,
and the overtime,
yes,
which is roughly another 150,000?
yes. Put it on the
Just
road.
So if we take it out of those, if we end up deciding to take it, those salaries out of Low Hut and move it to the 1176,
Yeah.
then just increase the general road repair by that same $150-ish thousand.
Yes, put it on the road.
Okay. Got that in your mind? Yes, I do. So, I mean, once we can get to that ironing out point, we can discuss.
We still have some questions that I hope that can be legitimately and fairly quickly answered by Paige, why the huge difference in a couple of lines from 2 weeks ago to today, because it makes a big difference. But we want to be legal in the Low Hut. If salaries, they say, really shouldn't, which is different than what was told us 3 years ago. We want to be legal.
Yeah, and I want to, when Debbie gets a chance, and Bobby, no, you're good. Go ahead, Bobby. Just whenever, I wanted to see how it figures into their side of the world too, if it makes it a big concern to shift it back or shift it there. So
Okay.
if we shift these two salaries and the overtime back to the 1176, does that cause a lot of pain points for the accounting department?
Know which employees to change what line they're paid out of.
Right, there's like 3 or 4
Yeah,
out of
there's
Low Hut
3
now.
employees and.
3.
And then you have to have the salary ordinance for the
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we just have to update, okay.
2 crew leaders in the assistant.
It's
I mean-
doable.
Yeah,
And it'll be based on what Page, and I think the Low Hut is going to have to move. If you said 4 other counties or 3 other counties you've worked for say you can't take it out of Low Hut, there's probably a good chance we contact the State Board of Accounts. They're going to say it can't come out of Low Hut.
Well, it probably at the end of the day makes it cleaner for the auditor's office because there's only 2 things that come out of that fund now and probably does, so, I mean,
We just need to
we'll
clean that
check
up and make
into it
sure.
See,
My state report, I have to report, like, break down, and I've
Yeah.
Depends on who we contact.
Well, and we've been audited since 19, paying them out of there, and then it never settled.
They would have flagged that if that was Indiana code
You
violation.
would have thought, that's,
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
And they're in the building. That's something you can ask them while they're doing it.
yeah, you guys can, they're down there.
They're downstairs. It's done? Oh, really? Oh, they said it's going to be, oh, they're speedier than they said up front.
But they're downstairs, and anybody's more than welcome.
Okay. Well, during a break, probably ought to. We'll know probably by today if we get a hold of them.
That's what they said because we have such good records and we were easy to get along with, it's why it went so fast.
See, we're easy to get along with, public.
No, I
The-
think you're talking about me, Bobby.
The,
Sorry.
She wasn't on the mic. They were talking about the auditor's department, public.
isn't the final word from the State Board of Accounts is consult your attorney?
It is. That's what they told Steve. Steve said the
we've
same
heard that
thing,
too.
consult your attorney. At
I've gotten that
175 an
before,
hour.
yeah.
and we all know attorneys, they are paid to find a way to legally do what you want.
Well, it's better than illegally do what we were planning on doing.
Right, Mr. Attorney?
He's going to plead the fifth. That's, okay. We have to find out some question marks, have them answered.
Sure, not a
But
problem.
otherwise, we cut you $5,000, so we cut, like we have everybody else, something. And we may have to shift a lot, depending on what page says.
That works.
Thank you.
I'd like to hand out that information about the bridge fund and where we
Yes.
stand, and if I could, just to, everyone.
Yeah, you
give
shared
a
that with
chance to
me,
look-
but I didn't share it with anybody else.
they can look at it. It tells how many bridges we have and their age, and what I had done last year, how many bridges have weight limits, and it lists the ones with weight limits, and it lists the ones that are recommended to replace or repair. So give you an idea of how bad it is.
You know, Joe, on that 2020 AIC fact book that Debbie shared with me a couple weeks ago, it showed our county only having 2 bridges at the lowest rating, which is like critical. Is that accurate? Because I know Randolph had like 20.
Yes, it depends on how they rate them. In the system, it's like 1 times 9, but if you have 3 or below, okay, and there's a lot of 3s in Randolph, and we don't have 4, we get 4, okay, so.
It's getting close to concern.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I do have a bridge that we've got to do something with soon, and I've been talking to some of the commissioners about it, and that's on Garner Street.
Oh, the cutoff to the hospital?
Yeah.
That the one over the Blue River?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the one somebody online said there's a big hole in the middle of it, concrete
Well-
to rebar.
Yeah, but that doesn't bother me, but the problem is, the rebar has deteriorated so bad that it's broken the top 2 inches of the deck away from the remainder. We have an 8-inch deck, now 2 inches is not even attached, so we've lost 1/4 of the deck, so they inspect it next year, next July,
And it's probably not going to pass.
and there's probably gonna be a weight limit, that's what I'm figuring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have 42 bridges in the county that are over 50 years.
Yeah,
So all the bridges are listed on here?
yes.
Every bridge in the county?
Well, it depends which list you're looking at. Let me pull it out. No, we have 144 bridges total. And the ones you see on that list are there's 43 of them, and those are the ones that are posted with a weight limit. Yeah.
And so not all bridges have a weight limit.
That's what I was.
No, not all of them, no.
For ones that are, it's just posted on a sign, and it's up to the driver to adhere to.
Yes.
43 have a weight limit. It's on page 2.
And
The
you're
number
gonna
that are
see-
over 50 years.
So how do you, why do not all bridges have a weight limit?
Because if people are supposed to be driving vehicles at the legal limit, so any bridge that's not posted, you can cross it as long as has the legal limit, state limit. If you go over that, they need to notify us if they have overweight, so that we can look at the bridge they're going to cross to make sure that we're not going to have a problem.
So if it's not posted, how do you know what the limit is?
Well,
For example, Mechanicsburg Road, where I live,
yeah,
it's not on here, so that means it's not posted.
correct, correct.
So semis go down that road all the time.
So you're good. Semis are not supposed to be running overloaded.
So there's one
80,000,
limit in the
right,
state.
Ed? 80,000 pounds.
What the state limit is that they can.
Oh, okay,
So if it's a legal state limit, then it's okay.
okay.
Shouldn't have a problem.
Not Arizona, you
Yeah.
can't get anything.
No, at all. So, I'm done.
It's decent.
So there's an honor system of them going within the legal limit. And occasionally they're caught at these weigh stations on the interstates.
Or pulled over, right, and weighed. Yeah,
So they are
weigh.
caught, and it's a big hefty fine, but
Yeah.
probably not worth they take the risk.
Now, you're
It's
going to
money.
see these strange-looking signs coming up this month being placed under the weight limit signs. And it says emergency vehicle weight limits. There's a new requirement from the Federal Highway Administration that we have to post these special signs that say emergency vehicles, and then there's 3 of them, and there's a load limit on each one, okay? It's just for these emergency vehicles. I need to get to the paper and have them put it in the paper because people are going to get confused, all right?
I didn't hear it.
But it's,
It's on,
you'll see them.
and I might have heard wrong. So what's a normal semi carry? And what did you say the state limit
80,000
was?
pounds
You
usually,
said 80 pounds,
total.
80,000 pounds, and that's the
Total.
state limit.
Now, the state did give permission for certain steel hauling trucks to go over 100, is my understanding. I believe it was over 100,000. But I've not heard of any running like that in here. I mean, if we had a steel mill close or some sort of steel processing plant of some kind, then that could, they may cross some of our bridges, but I've not heard that.
So Auto Comp 2, even though they're stainless steel, they don't.
It should
They
be-
likely don't go 100,000.
Yeah, they shouldn't be over 100.
Yep, we're here. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
We'll have to get back and talk about what's going on with that 1176.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Have a good one. Yes.
I know I was late, but you guys probably already discussed that the overall highway budget went up by
She put in a call or an email or something. She contacted Paige.
these are big changes.
Those are that's what we're saying. We're going to have to put on pause until Paige gets back and explain why. It's not making sense to us on the surface why those changes. And she's got to give us an explanation.
Overall number is bigger,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's spread
The
out.
1173, something huge happened since the first spreadsheet. Yes,
All of them are quite different.
they're different.
You guys go
We've got to figure out why. Highway's the biggest,
through- Right,
by far,
yes.
by far.
You may know what I'm saying, but I'm saying outside of highway, they're all different.
Yes, just not to the degree. We've got to figure out what happened. Because the only thing we know she changed was that 50,000 from the park, right?
Did
And
you do that change? Is that
She did.
incorporated? Okay.
We got it back, that Paige did make that change. So the park is,
Change the health departments?
no, because we haven't met with them yet.
Right, okay, because it's quite different also, isn't it?
Yes, we got to figure out why. And like Chad said, the health department gets these grants that aren't reflected.
That's true.
And so they're not nearly as bad a shape as what it appears.
Overall, we're getting more money, but it doesn't usually change that drastically.
No.
In a session like this.
Yeah, until we find out from Paige why that huge difference, we're kind of in a holding pattern. Until Bill gets up and speaks closely 3 inches from the mic, we're in a holding pattern. And until Are you up first before
I have
Jody?
no idea.
Well, let's do you, because
All right, I'm
you
here.
sat down first.
Okay, here we go. Yes. Yeah, I
Planning on doing
I sat down.
Jody's first. Ladies first? Okay. We're on page 3 for treasurer and page 7 for assessor, and Jody has that page 47 as well, so. 53, okay. 3 and 53. And 7 and 47. Who's going first so we know which page to go to?
Bill can.
Okay, page 3 and 53. So heck with this ladies first thing, that's so out of date. That was tongue in cheek, audience. Page 3, Bill, thank you both for being here. Looks like a lot of people either blanked out the raises or they put in 3%. Yours was a little different. You put in 1,000 per person, and that comes out to 2% for you, 2.5% for the chief deputy, and 3%, give or take slightly, for the second deputies. And you have 3 second deputies?
Yep.
For a total of 5 persons in your department? Correct? You have 5 total, including yourself.
Yep.
We're backing those out to 0 until we figure out how much is left for,
It's 6 including me.
oh, 3, 4, 5. Where am I missing? Oh, you have a first deputy that I didn't,
Yep.
6. Thank you, Bobby. 6. So, at any rate, you added 1,000 for each one of those, and that varies from 2%, 2.5%, 2.73%, and 3% for your second deputy. We're not going to deal with that today, and hopefully everybody get 3% raise or more. We'll hope a lot more. You have longevity the same. You have supplies the same. You have postage the same. You have travel the same. You have equipment repairs the same. You have printing the same. You have treasurer's due the same, and you have lockbox that you didn't have in the past. And you explained that, I think, when we met earlier.
Yes. Yes, and we may not need all that lockbox, but when I hired Melissa.
You have to be a little closer to
Yeah,
the
when I
mic.
hired Melissa, I had used part of our lockbox fund, comes out of technology. Part of that also went to pay some part-time help to get Melissa trained to take Cindy's job.
And you don't really have a line item for those kinds of things?
No. Like-
So your lockbox is your catch-all
Well, there was a lockbox
in the past?
in the past, and we done away with that, last year before, we started using my technology fund.
Should we call it something more in sync with what it actually is?
The
Lockbox,
technology fund-
it's
the
his
lock-
catch-all, but it's not really literally for lockbox necessarily.
Yeah, the lockbox was for lockbox. Like I say, if you look last year, there was no lockbox at all.
Right,
The money, what we paid lockbox with was out of technology fund.
okay.
And like I say, technology fund got drained a little bit, paying part-time help to get Melissa in here to train with Cindy.
Okay. Debbie, Bobby, is there a legitimate title for something that would more likely be a miscellaneous, or is it called miscellaneous?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah. And all that come out of technology, but like I said,
Okay.
that fund's got drained a little bit. Yeah,
okay, so we're good. Under lockbox, all these things are legit.
Yes.
Okay. So you went up, if we back out your salary raises, you had $4,000 increase, and it's for
just-
lockbox?
yes.
Which you have used legitimately.
yep.
It's what Harold said. You're way too easy.
I mean,
I mean, we would be done in a day if every department were as easy as you were.
honestly, if last year's budget still worked, and as long as it worked, we'll just keep going with it.
Okay. Can your department work without an elected treasurer?
Without a what?
Elected treasurer?
I'd say probably better off at times.
Okay, I did what Chad calls due diligence and asking some tough question,
Yeah.
and I was tongue-in-cheek, audience, those at home.
Definitely gonna get yourself in trouble.
I know. I step in it every day in my life. So people listening on live stream, send your complaints to Susan Hoon at shoon at, never mind. That was tongue-in-cheek too. 3.9% with your raises and a 4,000 lockbox. We have a general rule that we have to cut everybody something. You make it very tough. Chad has something.
Yeah,
Since you
Chad's-
took it
Chad-
out
Chad
of
Chad
your
has a
tech-
razor blade.
Since you
find it
took
out.
it out of your technology fund, is your technology fund just drying up? Is that the
It's
problem?
starting to, and I mean, I want to make sure there's plenty there
Because
for
I noticed,
lockbox.
do you know what, 53, do you know what your current balance is? Because you've got $11,145 you put in there for miscellaneous,
Chad's talking
Oh.
page 53.
yeah.
I didn't think there was that much, yeah.
Yeah, you have 11,145 that you left in your, so I don't see where you took it out of your technology fund, I guess I'm asking.
Yeah, part of the part-time, whenever, that's what Melissa was paid out of, whenever
right-
she was working part-time.
Because when you budgeted for that again, you actually increased it $99.
Well, if that's.
For
if
some
it's-
reason.
Like I said, I didn't realize there was that much left in there. I thought it was less. Yeah, if you want to take,
What are you recommending so we can?
So
cut-
are you saying
cut
that we
something?
could
if you want to
probably
take the
leave it in
lockbox
there?
4,000, take it.
You saying we probably could leave it in the technology
Probably
if there's
could.
that much in there? Because we're trying to find money for raises, that's what we're doing. Yeah, it is,
That would
it's
give
it's a raise.
Like I say, if I've got 11,000, take the
I know
lockbox
everybody
back, and we'll
blames
just leave the
Chad, and-
technology as it is, and that should be
Give
fine.
everybody a 0.1% raise.
There you go.
I'm trying.
Every bit
Everybody
adds up.
blames me, though.
Yeah, because he got it on page 53. He does
Yeah,
have
I mean,
enough that he's not.
he
taxed.
actually increased that budget by $99,
How dare
which
you.
I don't know why. Was there a reason? Is that just a?
We slap people with wet noodles
which
for less.
The
He's taking the lockbox out.
4,900, your technology?
He's taking that
Your
out,
miscellaneous-
zeroing that out on page
We're
3.
moving it together.
Page 3.
And he can use that miscellaneous
Yeah.
supplies to pay it out of.
So we're taking out the
Yeah.
4,000?
We're taking out the 4,000.
We've done our due diligence, to use Chad's
So-
term. And you should have plenty to
All
operate
right.
from next year,
You're
even
next.
with the treasurer.
You don't have as much fun, though.
That was so easy. I feel guilty having
Now,
you even
Jody,
come
you're in
in.
the hot seat, talking to my.
We got to give Jody a rougher time
Step
than
up to the mic
Bill.
and sing your favorite song.
Kumbaya. You take request.
Do what?
Song. You take request. I want to hear Kumbaya. We're just in the mood. So. Page 7 and then 47. Oh, you have 46?
The sales disclosure, though, is nothing.
It's nothing. So
Yeah,
really,
it just goes,
so
I mean, that's
7
my
and
money.
47.
I can't do it for anything else.
Okay, we're on page 7.
Can't have any of
Council.
that.
Okay, Jody did add 3%, how dare she, to her salary. We're going to back it out, but it was 3%. And also, her chief deputy was 3%, which is what every department head was told to do. We'll back it out for now and see what monies are left for everybody's salary. We hope it's more than 3%. We'll see. By Monday, the 15th, we'll know. You added 3% for second deputy, 3% for third deputy. Longevity went up 400, so you must have somebody that hit that tier. Deputy, your deputy and fifth deputy went up
Hey, Debbie,
3%.
not to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
On longevity, we can cut that back. But I don't know how much. Since I have 2 openings, 2.
Oh, you won't have longevity on 2.
Melissa was here 5 years.
Melissa, I think, went to 4.
She was here with
So
Melissa.
you probably
came,
can
I
cut
thought.
out
So
that
probably the
400
same.
increase.
I don't know. I don't think I have, well, I might have those.
I think she hired in, what, a month or two for Melissa? They
Yeah.
both hired in.
I think they hired in about the same time.
$800, you can cut that back
Cut 800 off?
of longevity.
Okay, so it'll be 400 less than this
Yeah,
year.
you have to pay it out though, but you paid out this year, right?
Yeah.
So it's always in this year's
So it'll be
budget, so it's not.
2,400 instead of 3,200, so that's minus 800, correct?
Yeah, 2,400.
Well, you did our due diligence for us. We cut something from your budget. And you did it. You get a happy sticker. Okay, so instead of a 3.1% increase, you don't have, well, that's with the salary increases, which are not. And any questions on page 7 before we move to page 47?
Well, how much total did you cut out of this one?
Look, I get 47. Page 47 is the assessor's reassessment. You raised part-time 500. Seems reasonable. Assessing consultant, you went from 100, you raised 3,000. That's on line 3,000.01. That's just inflation, I assume, or contract.
It's contract.
So that's a half too. Vehicle maintenance is the same, office supplies is the same. It said perf went up 500, that'll be due to raises, and maybe that'll be enough, maybe not. Repair maintenance, still 1,000, vehicles still zeroed out. I'm skipping back and forth, I apologize. Copier lease, same 5,000. Computer software, same as 56. What's the program you use again?
Wow.
Xsoft and.
Xsoft.
Yeah.
Is that the new program that you guys were all going to use a few years ago?
They talked about it. They did. They haven't ever changed.
I'm going to go to conferences. Xsoft always is either a sponsor or has a table. And I'll go up and talk to them because they're giving out free something, mouse pads, pins. And they asked me what county, and they said, we've got Henry County.
Is the expenses still for the old program that you never changed over, or is it for the new program that everyone has?
I have to pay maintenance. I've always been on it. I've always
You've
had it.
always had it in here, but they haven't jumped on.
Sorry, I get the text messages.
Thanks.
Yeah, you might get hate mail at your h.that. I was kidding, but they may actually start texting you. So you're on Xsoft, computer maintenance 0, office equipment 0. Okay. So we cut 800 out of longevity.
Jody, you probably know that the fund balance is decreasing over time. I'm not asking you to take anything out, I just wanted to make sure that you knew that. And the projected receipts are lower than we thought. They're going to be about 283,000, so.
You're referring to the Baker Tilly spreadsheet.
Yeah, I mean, so with the new projection, the balance will go down after this year to 21%. So I just don't know how much control you have over these things next year, if it'll be a problem. They're pretty fixed.
I don't have any control over any of the contracts.
Right, so next year might be more of an issue, but for this year, we're good.
I'm going to echo what we said about Bill. You're way too easy when it comes to budget hearing times. So I think you two coming in at the same time makes a whole lot of sense. You guys are way too easy. You should come in
But we still cut
make us earn our
$17,000 from them.
$9,000.
We still cut $17,000 from them.
Yeah.
Even as easy as they are, we're still pick on them.
If we could do that with every department proportionally, we could probably give 10% raises. Cut everybody's budget by 6-7%. Okay. You did such a good job, you can keep the treasurer in the treasurer department. And the assessor, I think we could keep her too. You guys did such a wonderful job.
More years,
We laughed to keep from crying.
4 more years.
more years.
140
Who are you training to take your spot?
148
Jody?
days. 148 days.
Him and Rick.
148
Do you have
days.
someone
Well,
that you're training
Peggy
to
would be
take
the
your
same
spot?
number of days.
Okay.
What is it, 140 what?
148 days.
Peggy,
Peg.
148 days. December 3rd. He is the Rick McCorkle of the council.
Who's counting?
He and Rick McCorkle. Thank you for
And who are you training to take
being
your
so
spot?
cooperative and
I'm
easy.
concerned here. I want to know what the plan is.
That's a good question.
So how's it?
That was a discussion we had in our work session, that there doesn't appear to be a lot of paths for many of these departments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's concerning.
How's Jody coming with the hires?
I've asked some people that work for me and all that, but they said, I don't know if I want that. How, go with me where they go?
I have a question for Jody. How's the advertising hiring coming along?
It's coming along. I got like 12 out.
Oh, you do? That's good these days.
I'm not going to do anything till after next week
Makes sense.
because I'm going to be here.
That makes better sense. I wouldn't either. Don't do it online on vacation. Don't do a Zoom interview on the beach or wherever you're
So
going.
I'll let you know after next week.
Okay. Well, you have 12 applicants. That's better than what we're hearing across the board.
Can you tell if they're qualified by their,
You have some good
can you
ones?
tell if they're qualified? Are you getting, you can't tell until you start talking. Okay.
I know, that's true, you're right. And that, yeah, you can't just, it takes years to learn this job. By the time you're done, yeah.
Yeah, you learn it and somebody leaves that's learned a position, been trained. And I think that's everywhere. People are short timers. They get a job, so this is not for me, and then 2 weeks later, they're gone.
Yeah. That's true. I don't doubt that at all.
And that's exactly what it should not be.
Right.
You're rewarded for job hopping.
Companies don't reward loyal employees because they can't afford to do that. But people who job hop,
They're desperate to fill the position, and they,
Young kids, young people can do that.
well, but none of these companies have the long-term retirements and all those other things that used, like my grandparents. You know, my grandparents are able to retire well because they
people live streaming, we're just chit-chatting about the
Well, we're just
state of the workforce and the economy and everything else that's affecting us and everybody else. Coming up next, we can have auditor or recorder. We can do auditor until Linda comes up. We're,
Hey, Kenan,
yes, Susan.
could we discuss everyone's temperature comfort because with the air on, it's really hard to hear? Are you having fun yet? I don't want to make anyone hot, but I just was saying maybe we could turn it down more than. All right.
Well, let's go.
Kyle's got to turn the air handling down. It's hard to hear with the air handling. You'll have to use your mics because we're live streaming and there's probably at least 5 people listening
Turn
in.
the air off unless you guys get too hot because it's so hard to hear with it.
And
Are you okay right now?
I know you're on the hot seat, but it's turned down.
We'll be extra nice while the air is off so that you don't feel like you're on. It is in the plane. It's hard to hear. Yes.
Shouldn't be here long. Yours is fairly simple. Recorder's on page 4.
So I did notice something.
In case you don't know, this is Lisa Lovelace. She's the recorder-elect and doesn't have competition, so
And she's working for you now. Is that what I heard? I was excited
Betsy
to hear that.
retired.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
great.
Lisa graciously accepted to come in. And
Thank you for graciously
That worked out
accepting.
perfectly. Congratulations to Betsy, that's awesome, though. She's been here for more than 2 decades, hadn't she? Been here a long time.
21 years.
Yeah, I
A
thought it'd been a long
She's a long
time.
timer.
I Facebook stalk her. She
So
seems
you've
to
been
be pretty
told you
happy
have
about
big
it.
shoes to fill, Lisa, I'm sure,
Yeah.
or you know that. We're on page 4, which is probably the simplest budget in Henry County.
Well, not really, because now that I look at it,
They
Uh-oh.
lowered all their wages.
we lowered everybody's salaries instead of leaving them the same.
Yeah, so that was going to be my first question.
No, you lowered them.
It's
No.
okay. We're gonna zero out to this year until we find out how much money's are
I
left at
must have
the
been
end.
having
I-
a really bad day that day.
Or else you thought we were.
You're allowed.
going for people.
You're allowed.
That was what I was confused about, because when I was reviewing these, I was like, okay. I mean, it's not a lot,
No,
but it's like
$105.
$100 here and $100 there, and I'm like,
We're,
okay.
Man, they should never speak to me again in there.
no,
Well, you run back and you tell them she cut everybody's salary.
no. We'll leave it the same as this year, and then on the 15th, we're gonna come back and just see how much money we've chipped away, so we'll know how much are for salaries. And I'm gonna guess it's gonna be more than $105 for that, for the recorder.
I cannot believe
It'll,
that.
yeah,
Well, yeah, I can. It's been a busy year.
we're hoping for over 3% for sure.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I'd raised them 3%, I thought.
I think
Sorry
Peg's
about
right, you might have done it off 21, maybe.
Yeah, I've looked
We're-
at the wrong one. That's what I've done.
Yeah, I think that's right. You looked at the 21
I
instead of the
was leaving.
22
I guess
figure.
I didn't care. Which is not true.
She's digging that hole deeper here, isn't she? That hole's getting deeper, Linda.
At least I'm honest. I'm telling you.
Did I tell you
I'm so
earlier
sorry.
we're live streaming? Can't take it back, can't unring a bell.
Her longevity can actually go down
Right,
$1,000 because
to 1,000,
one that gets paid out next
2,000, to 8,000. So take 400 off.
Just 400?
year. Yeah, she'll get paid out next year, her longevity, because she'll work through the whole year.
Really, there'll be
Okay.
no one there that
There
gets
won't be
longevity?
anybody.
Yeah, there's nobody else, so you can take the other 400 off. Okay.
Well,
So-
Well, then we're actually going to make a cut to this budget.
Yes, we are.
zero. There won't be anybody next year.
Well, but you'll get paid out because you worked the entire year.
Yeah,
You will get paid
Come
out.
off this year's, not next year.
No.
You'll get paid November, you'll get paid in November for last year, and you'll get paid in January for this year.
so it comes a year out,
Yes.
okay.
I've gained $400.
Yes, but you cut everybody else's, so it's a wash. It's a wash. Oh, I was live, I'm sorry. You're good. So we're cutting 400 off?
So you want $400 in there
Off.
for next year?
No,
I thought she said
1,000. Your
1,000.
$1,000 payout.
No, I'm not the 1,000, I'm the 400.
Oh, you're only 400, oh.
Yeah,
Really?
So 1,000
yeah.
then.
You were confusing me. It didn't take much, as you
I,
noticed.
I've been confusing everybody since 8:30.
I was thinking 2,000.
Oh, I used to, but I retired. I'm a retired employee already.
Yeah, now they're saying.
Okay.
400
Yeah.
and stuff.
I retired in 2015, no, yeah, 14. With 39 years of service.
So what's the net, bottom line? 400?
Yeah, it was 400
Okay, so we've cut 1,000. So you were correct.
sometimes.
We were confusing. Okay, so we did cut 1,000. And your other page is, you said 46 is irrelevant, so 47,
Yes.
page 47.
That's where we just were for the treasurer.
No, that's treasurer.
That's Jody.
What's the other recorder fund? Do we have one?
She doesn't perpetuate, her perpetuation fund, you guys have no control over.
Oh, okay.
That's right, it's by Indiana code. That's why you're,
I got a net
you're
of
way too anxious.
negative
He has a question.
$439. Is that what you guys got?
No,
Okay.
it's for them.
So we did cut $439 out of your budget, even though you cut everybody's pay. We gave them their payback, so you can tell the
tell
tell the
them to
employees
send-
the council took care of them.
Tell them to send the Hallmark thank you cards to the council.
Not mine, 148 days.
I said, tell them to go to Hallmark or online, and the thank you cards go to the council, not to you.
Yes.
We are getting way too punchy. Okay, I think if they don't have their perpetuation, they don't have another fund. No? This is incredibly painless.
Aren't you just
We're not doing our job. It's too painless.
too easy?
It-
Yeah, we corrected two things, well, really four things, but had good and bad.
But did it in 5 minutes.
Hey, I
It's Friday. Enjoy the weekend.
thank you.
Well, that was easy.
That was, don't expect next year to be half this easy, sister.
We got air conditioning.
We're going to make up for it next year.
We have air conditioning at work. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Over the place. Okay. You're here from the fire department. Come on up.
EMA. EMA.
Yeah, EMA. Okay. Confused me. Yeah, EMA 41. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Tim Welch, by the way. I don't think I've met everyone. Or
Yes.
have you, but
You're the new guy on the block.
yeah.
Yeah, we are live streaming. We have at least 5 people listening in that couldn't be here today.
Okay.
You kind of have to eat it. It's,
Well, it's way up there, too. I need to get taller. Here we are. Tim Welch, EMA.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Congratulations on your new
Thank you. We'll
position
see.
title.
See.
Hopefully you won't think different than that when we leave here today. Page 41.
Yes.
I have a note from last couple weeks that we were talking about 35,000 more from one of the safety or jail lids, but we'll get to that later. Somebody who knows what that note means. There was a previous conversation. Office supplies, you went from 500 to 1,000. Meals for LEPC members, I assume that's an organization that advises.
Okay, so let's start from here. I was handed all this stuff, and I've tried to go over with Don, who was the previous EMA director. So as far as these numbers are concerned, I don't want to speak unintelligently about them. So, but I do know that the LEPC is a committee that meets. I see there was never any money before for that, for meals per se. But I think the reason he included that was just simply to try to encourage members to show up for meetings.
How often are there meetings?
I was just reviewing that this morning. They not require, but they recommend monthly.
Okay,
And there's a total of, I think, 6 or 8 members.
okay. I would suggest downing that because we don't do that with very many, but I'd see why you want to encourage members. Anybody else have any thoughts on that? I'm thinking $1,000.
I thought it was a little high myself.
for snacks and cookies and, you want
my
a
only
donut hole?
concern is we don't do that for any other
I-
board.
that
And
is-
that's my concern, is that's just not a
Yeah.
common practice in the county.
I mean,
is
the
to pay for
EDC
meals.
does that, but that's kind of a different entity.
Well, like I
Yeah,
said,
They do it out of their own tax revenue, and so, yeah.
I understand.
And so it's just, where do we draw the line? I mean, are we gonna do it for PC and
That's
sheriffs?
some pretty nice dinners right there for $2,000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
it probably better go to something actually.
Well, and that's what
relating
I was going to say.
emergencies.
That's what I was going to say. I had a different recommendation for that, but go ahead.
yeah, I don't know that I'm comfortable
Suggesting
starting
cutting it.
meals.
fine with that.
We'll have 10 other boards coming in wanting the money.
We don't do it for any other board, that's my concern.
Yes, I agree. We have limited funds, taxpayers.
I'm right there with you.
Okay, we're going to take out $2,000. This makes sense. Don't have any qualms, I don't think, with office supplies. Training's double. Is it? Yeah, 1,000, 2,000, just wanting to do more training.
Correct, and some of that has to do with the training ground, which I'll get into that later, but the training, just the price have gone up substantially, and so that's actually pretty small, but that, I felt comfortable with that too.
Okay. Anybody have any issues with training, emergency management?
It's hard to argue with that one.
It's hard to argue with that. The police and everybody had fire, has to train. Emergency planning went up 500 to 1,000. You have to do that.
I can't speak in detail about that, but it was a small amount, so he just doubled it. Like I said, I can't speak intelligently about that one. I didn't talk to him about that.
The concern I have is, he did this a lot. This was pretty much what he did, and,
Okay.
but he never spent anything out of those line items. If you go back and historically look, there's been $0 spent, so
Right.
if, it's hard to come up with a number that seems appropriate when nothing's ever been spent. So even though it's a small number,
It's still committed
that's-
numbers, right?
That, you add 3 or 4 of those small numbers and it's somebody's raise. That's the hard part for me sitting in this chair, and that's always been this, even though it is, I believe, the smallest budget in the entire county, it's always one of the most difficult for me to go through because it always seems overinflated. I mean, it's like, for example, your 2022 budget is $8,500.
Yes.
So far this year, up until July 7th, this department spent $72.
I saw that.
So it's like, how do we come up with an appropriate number to put in here? Because it's just.
I think my answer would be, you're a new director, and you're
Correct.
maybe hoping to do some things that hasn't been in the
Yeah.
past, but
For sure.
we need to know that it's legitimate, and because if you've spent 1% of the budget or 2%,
Less than 1% of the budget.
For sure.
but you have plans, you have long-term, short-term plans to actually use this
Yes, sir.
legitimately
So-
for the purpose. So
Since you mentioned that, can I speak out of line on these? So there's several things that need to be updated, and that's not even what I was focusing on, but our training ground needs to be a focus. It's a little bit embarrassing for the community. It needs to be cleaned up. And
is that the one out by Osborne Park?
Hillsborough Park,
Road.
or Hillsborough area, Osborne Park, correct. So, and I was studying through these, and I'm not really finding anything that talks about administrative costs, things like that, that would help focus that money in that direction. And when you see these numbers that he's inflated that have not been used, I'm on the same track that you are. How do you ask for more when you're not spending what you have? What I would ask is that I need to figure out how I can move something to a position that I can use it to work on that, to make it better, to not be an eyesore, if you will, for the community.
Which area do you think legitimately would improve that considerably? Would it be the training line, you think?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. So, I don't know if there's an administrative line that allows some gravity to use for moving things, having to clean something, cost to throw things away. I mean, I don't see anything that's specific to the
We know
training
what the-
ground or administrative costs in general.
Yeah, the only thing that's listed as administrative is administrative communication, and I
Communications.
don't know if that fits or not.
Well, that deals with his cell phone that he had and some of the communications equipment in the training, in the office.
So
Okay.
we could, with Debbie's approval, create another line item.
Right, that's what I was hoping.
Sorry. Debbie, did you hear Tim's discussion about how the expenses aren't really laid out, how he needs to spend the money, and could we create another line item for like administrative costs to do some grounds work? Oh, okay.
Page 20.
I think this is the LEPC, and this is like a grant.
Yeah, I heard you, what you
Yeah,
said. This
is
isn't
the
general
grant
fund money.
This isn't the county general fund. This one is a grant fund. And we'll have to pull those numbers. to
Page
see
20,
How then you can,
that's where we should have
You talking
stuck
about the
it.
LEPC?
Yeah,
Okay, so that's different.
yeah, we probably weren't on the best page.
I was gonna
Okay.
say, we don't have salaries or anything in that, so I was
and that's what
confused.
made me start looking,
Okay,
start looking at it.
right,
Okay, page 20, everybody.
okay.
That's where the bulk of his general is that we need to
Yes, I
concentrate on.
don't have that.
It's 1,000 general 001, it's 361, Department 361, Emergency Management. Department 361, Emergency Management. I think he needs page 20.
I don't have that.
He needs page 20,
Either I didn't copy
so
it.
we're on the same page, literally.
I'm surprised he'd keep getting the grant if they don't ever use any of the money. That seems surprising to me.
Oh, this was, I didn't have this one. That's why I was lost. Okay.
So we want to start, part-time is who?
Everyone. It's
You just have, how many part-time?
me.
It
I'm the only,
fluctuates.
I'm a department of one currently. And then the part-time two is allowing for a assistant director, which as of yet, I've not made any thoughts on that.
So you are a department of one as we speak
Correct.
today.
That's correct.
I hope we don't have a major emergency.
I'm
Well,
sorry, I didn't, you
it's a-
said your part-time one? Okay,
Yes.
because I didn't hear you, okay.
So are you not planning to add a second person then, or?
Yes, I haven't got that far.
Okay.
And wanting to find out what their benefit would be to the department. And there's a lot of grant things that I'm trying to catch up on, so I haven't put any effort into finding a second person as of yet.
Now, you've only been officially designated for 1 week.
Correct.
I don't think we're going to try to give you a real rough time. I can't imagine coming in here with 1 week trying to figure out the lay of the land and what's what. And
I appreciate
how much
that.
this cost and how much for this plan that you have that you've not even developed yet.
And I promise if I survive the year that I'll have some better information for you come next
So you
time.
didn't create these budgets?
No, ma'am.
We're going to be nice to you.
And actually, thank you. When I looked down farther, the fuel was a big conversation piece, and I'm glad I have this now, so that helps.
That has been a big conversation piece. We need to get him on the same county plan that we talked with the commissioners, a countywide quote,
Okay,
so we can get more competitive.
okay.
Because we've got sheriffs on one, highway on another, and, well, I guess Co-Alliance didn't even bid the highway, which we found out this morning. If we can get everybody on the same, it should be more competitive
Okay.
and lower than the rate we all pay at the pump.
Sure, I would hope.
How much is in it?
And hopefully 2,500 will do. Because how many vehicles? Do you have your own vehicle, or does the county have a vehicle?
0. There's a vehicle that the health department, my understanding is the health department uses a vehicle that is partly available to EMA on weekends. So as of right now, there's not. The fuel expense is going to mostly be mowing at the training ground.
Okay.
That's a huge concern out there.
So the health department has a vehicle that they loan you as
For
needed.
anything?
We share. It's my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Kenan, is it reasonable to roll this budget back to last year's? Given
Okay,
that
so
much of it hasn't been spent and Tim hasn't had a chance to
I have a thought.
really look at it?
In
Please.
talking with Bobby and Debbie, your grant fund has almost $30,000 in it.
LAPC grant.
Yes. And it can be spent for anything. So, so,
So my reading through that, just a point of clarity on that, is there has to be meetings with the LAPC committee, which I'm going to recreate because it's kind of dismantled. And to spend the money, it has to be approved by the committee. And that's local, EMS, fire, police, and then you just spend that money on whatever you deem necessary. That's not really a spending line for me. It's a group effort. But the training ground would surely be able to fall under that in some ways.
yeah.
So yes, but I have to rebuild this committee before we
So-
can do that. Correct,
So
That's probably why none of it was spent,
I would say.
because it was
There were some personality issues, and like I said, it fell apart. So,
Okay, and we want to rebuild it. Which
Correct.
is your goal. Susan recommended move it back to the 2022, and Chad said he has some ideas.
okay,
Well, that was kind of,
Right,
mine is
but-
either zero it out, because everything is duplicated.
Yeah.
Pretty much
But
every single
He can't
line.
spend the grant now, we know.
He can't, but, so I think rolling it back to last year on everything, and then having the $30,000 in the grant as a backup, is a good placeholder, because you only budgeted, or, well, not you, your department budgeted $15,000, which is only half the balance of your fund. So and I'm assuming you're talking about going after grants, so hopefully you'll
Oh, for
get
sure.
the grant again next year, and it will increase. And I just,
This department could potentially be self-funding, maybe.
it
depending
could
on
be at
if
a
the
certain
grant
point,
monies
and
come in and how much work needs to be
well,
done.
so to be clear on, again, the LAPC grant, I can't speak as to what I can use it for exactly yet. I'm still diving into the limitations on that grant. But there is a grant for salary, which I think we talked about that, which I was looking into yesterday. And then there's a grant for the communications, I believe was the other one. So, yes.
so
I'm-
what I'm wondering is, could we possibly take out that second part-time person out of this budget to free up county general funds, and then if you decide to put it on,
Well,
go
I believe
after
it'd be
it as a-
important to have a second person. I mean, heaven forbid something happened. That's just my opinion.
And we're talking,
Yes, move it to the other, so you have that funds there that, and if you
Oh,
decide to
okay.
go down that
Okay.
You
road.
can't spend any of it. How quickly could that be fixed? I mean,
That's up to him. Depends
how quickly he can get his committee put
he's gotta
together.
be able to get the committee together. I mean, that's all.
Right.
Yeah. I just don't want to trap
Correct.
him so he can't get a second person.
My understanding is until you have a committee, and the committee's the one that has to approve
Yes.
spending of these funds, which is kind of like your JDAI grant and stuff
Right.
through, probation. You know, council has no say over that, that's how the grant's written is, but how it will be done. But as long as, yeah, but Susan knows what penny can be spent for.
so what would that leave him? It'd be the page 41 and his salary and anything else?
Well, I mean, if we just, there's two schools of thought. We could either roll it back to last year's, leave the part-time in there, or roll it back to last year's and subtract out the part-time,
We could
second
leave,
part-time.
we could leave half the part-time. That gives him 6 months to get his.
Well, he's gonna have 5 months before the year even starts.
That's going to be through December 31st next year.
It's maxes out at 13.5. Yeah. That's what I read. It may have upped since
Well,
2020.
But you're not sure that you will get that.
No.
Okay, so we can't take that to the bank, but if you do, then obviously that frees up funds next year.
Sure.
But, I mean,
say
I don't think it's a bad idea, to Susan's suggestion, to split that at 5,000 in the part-time, leave everything else exactly where it was last year, and then kind of go
Fantastic.
from there.
Can you check the last few years? Has the part-time?
So last year it was used.
He had a
It was
part-time
used
two temporarily
Yeah,
last year.
it was used last year.
Yeah, 9369 was used
No,
Okay.
this year.
no, that's the
No,
balance.
no, no,
That's
no.
the balance.
That's the
And it's only
balance.
$700 that's been
Right.
used this
Yeah.
year,
I can see
$780.
The previous year. it was
So you
all used.
say, take it to 5,000, I heard that.
I mean, again, in this budget, it's only 25% of it it's used in half the year.
Sure.
Do you have a recommendation to move it?
So I like Susan's recommendation of rolling it back, and then we'll split the part-time down to 5,000, second part-time.
For the remainder of this year?
No,
you're
no,
saying?
no, no, for
year?
next year's
Okay.
budget.
Okay.
To 5,000.
We'll just cut it, make it 5,000. Make it 5,000 in that one, so take out 54, 55,
Okay.
and then roll everything else back, so 2150, 150,
Yeah.
800.
It'll go to 5,000, so we're taking out
100.
5,455.
1,000.
So just so I'm clear on that, you're taking away half of the part-time two number, and you're going to allow that to go someplace else then for general expenses? Is that what I'm understanding?
Your grant fund could be utilized for that.
It will,
Well, again, he's got all of this money here. Surely in 5 months, you can put together a board.
I'm hoping to have a board put together within a few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 5 months until January 1st of '23. But, I mean, again, but he's got thousands in that other line item for office supplies, but he's used $27 all year for all. I mean, I get it, I'm just saying, but
You'll use
again,
more than your predecessor. You'll use more than your predecessor.
Yes, sir.
I would think so. I mean, but, so you'll have, this budget won't go into effect until next year.
Okay.
And then, so I guess the question is, Debbie and Bobby, if it's put in a budget like it's got, that we see already, did a board approve this budget?
I have no idea. Don just created it. I can't answer that.
So, I mean, because if you look, I mean, I don't know if a board already approved this expenditures in these budgets, or if they just created this budget.
The only thing
That's the
that board is
problem.
for is the LAPC grant.
I understand, but if you look, there was a budget done for last year
Right,
for
I
that.
saw that.
So did the board approve that budget? And can you already spend out of that? Or that gets
just
into
need to
semantics
research it.
that you need to talk with these ladies about, because they'll be able to, I don't know who will find it. I mean, I don't know,
I
because
assumed they were all budgeted already.
if they were
It was all
budgeted,
approved.
I would hope, because being a park board member, we signed off on the budget before we sent it to the auditor's office.
Okay.
So did that board sign off on the budget before they sent it to the auditor's office?
I would, right, well, the LEPC board is only for the LEPC, not for the rest of the budget.
I understand that, but someone sent a budget for that grant.
Okay.
So did
Actually,
someone sign off
so
on
that,
it?
we're referencing the LEPC specifically, correct?
Yes.
That is a continued reimbursement, I believe, for hazardous material storage in the community. So it's just a constant feed. It's not, that's not the end. It will continue to increase.
Yeah, but somebody turned in a grant, somebody turned in a budget for that, because there's an approved 2022 budget for this year. Like, there's $500 in office supplies, $1,000 in training, $500 in emergency planning, $1,000 in.
My understanding is that those numbers haven't changed in quite some time, so I don't know
Yeah.
that he's had
So,
anything
but I
other
mean,
than just repeat.
I think if you contact Don and do a little bit of research,
Yes.
he'll be able to answer
Because
the
you
I've worked
may
on
be-
that a little
questions
bit.
he has.
What
He'll be
I'm
able to
saying is
answer
you
it.
may be able to utilize this money tomorrow.
Right.
If a board signed off on it before it was sent into the auditor's office as a budget.
Or within 5 weeks after you get your
Well,
board back. You'll have the answers.
on that situation, I believe he had a $500 availability, but you still, without meeting with the board under certain parameters. So any money above that, he's going to have the meeting.
Even
But
if it's approved in advance.
I don't know that.
See, that's.
500 was the only thing I knew in advance, that you were
See,
clear.
that's where I'm curious, is if,
Yeah.
because somebody had to sign off on this before they
Yeah.
sent it over.
Yeah.
So if it was just Don, or if it was the actual board,
I can't tell you the last time they had a meeting. I don't know that,
Yeah.
so.
I don't
But
know.
anyway.
I know you're walking into a bit of a mess.
Yeah, that's okay. I enjoy I'm learning
I know you're
right now,
walking into
so
a
it's
bit of a
great.
mess, and so
You're getting your feet planted in a new
Sure,
position.
I know, I see how it works.
and I think if you, as
Correct,
he said, is if he survives a year. he will.
correct.
That was his comment.
Like I said, my biggest goal, I see all the budget there, my biggest goal was to have something available to start work out there and get things cleaned up. That was one of my big steps.
The training facility.
Correct. Because if you go by there, it's kind of it's a little messy.
It is messy.
So that's what I wanted to be clear on, that I have the available funds to use immediately to
Like
start
you
on
do.
that.
Just do a little research.
Okay.
Get Don on the phone, do a little research, make sure this has been approved by the board.
Tim, have you seen, excuse me, have you seen the resources on the Homeland Security site?
Spent a lot of time on there yesterday.
Okay, just making sure, because I wanted to learn about it too, just, there's a bunch of stuff, so.
There's a lot.
Okay, perfect, thanks.
There's some numbers we had to get approved. I worked on that yesterday, so hopefully we're in the right direction on that. And I'll work through the grant process, obviously, with
You're
the
just in
auditor's
a
office.
strong learning curve and a new job that you've
Yes, sir.
had for a week.
Yes,
And then
sir.
you come into a budget hearing with a budget somebody else prepared.
Yes,
So
yes.
if Tim wanted to start working right out there on the grounds, where would we tell him to take that money
Yes,
from
thank
tomorrow?
Are we okay
I
with?
think it has to be figured out, this whole board situation, because there's monies in that grant fund that he could do that, but whether the board approved the budget or not is the
I
question.
would work through Don and the auditor's department, and I think within a week, you'll have the answers to all the
Well,
questions we
now,
have.
he has told me that there's not a line specifically to work on the training ground, but that's why I was asking with the reduction for well, I still have the part-time 2 budget left from this year, only minus, what, $780? And I was assuming that there was some way to maneuver that into an account that I could use to immediately start
So
corrective
Debbie,
measures.
How would this work? Like, could he do an additional with a new line
He can
item?
move that, part-time. Yeah, I would say like, down to meeting and training. With your guys' approval. Yeah, because he has to have your approval, it's go from a 1,000 to a 3,000. He could move that money down there and spend it out of that line item to do the repairs or the cleanup
Yes.
that he needs to be done.
Is that done here or at a meeting of ours coming up?
You have to do that at
So,
a
Okay.
council meeting, you have to do a training, we'll walk him through what he needs to do.
Okay, and then bring that to the council meeting,
Okay.
which is the last Thursday in August.
okay,
Just get with us, next week, and we'll walk you through what you need to do.
Yeah.
okay,
Then everything will be kosher.
all right, thank you.
I think, any other questions?
Well, okay.
Yes. I said,
See what you do there?
yeah. Excuse
Well,
me. I just wanted to say, Tim was one of the persons that helped save my life.
I remember that
I had a
distinctly,
heart
actually.
attack, and you took me from the high school to the emergency room, and then they immediately took me to St. Vincent. So I mentioned this at a Kiwanis meeting. You
Okay.
and your partner, I have owe gratitude to.
Well,
So thank
I'm
you.
glad you're okay, thank you.
Yeah, you provide a essential service for sure.
Well, thank you, thank you.
So God bless you and your coworkers.
I will pass that on. We always take those blessings, so.
Probably you and a lot of safety workers don't get, and hospital workers
Well.
don't get the kudos you deserve.
It's all about the money. Yeah,
That's what the educator said. It's all about the money.
That's
the first few months.
All public servant jobs are, don't you
Right,
know?
right. We're all getting rich.
Domain, it's all about the money. No, not.
Well, thank you. Is that,
Thank you. I think that's
okay,
it.
well, thank you.
Good.
Okay,
And us as well.
okay.
Our numbers are posted everywhere, so don't hesitate to call
I
any of
believe
us.
I have a list, and you're probably on it. They
Yeah.
just gave me a list, so.
So don't hesitate to holler.
Okay.
You know,
Good-
we
good luck
wanna-
in your
We
new
want to see you
position.
succeed, and
Thank you.
Now, we want you here a year from now.
yeah,
Well, I hope
I
so.
won't be, but
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Peggy and Chad won't be, but we hope that.
I'll be on the Homeland Security, so I'll give you guys.
Our next meeting's at 1:15. I've got to head off to a meeting that's in the 911 training center. No, you're fine. We were hoping to end at 11:30, and Debbie's going to get in whenever she can, because we've got a lot of openings on, we have a lot of openings on Monday.
How are you, Debbie? I'm fine. You feel horrible still? Yeah. But you still look like you don't feel great. What did you say, Bobby? I didn't hear that.
Back at 1:15, audience and council and auditors.
Okay, so we're done until 1:15? How about it? Well, we just got enough money together for like 5 more raises, 4 more raises. Exciting. A little bit at a time.
They put her in a swing.
Yeah, that, I wasn't expecting that this morning. That's quite significant, so.
Peggy said they put her in a very swing.
So that's what, 6 people's? 7 people's. Yeah, that's really exciting. But I wasn't expecting the projected numbers to change that much.
I just can't wait to go hold her again.
Oh, I know.
All right, guys.
That is just precious.